His reputation has preceded him long before he took the reins of power in a bloodless coup in July 1994. Coming as a young lieutenant, the president was then hailed for changing the status quo and eventually laying the foundation for a modern country. But he will tell you the price he paid for success was extremely high.
When I was an acting sergeant for almost 8 years, people say, with your certificate, you're still an acting sergeant. I say, well, yes. That's what God said. My promotion will come from God, not from anybody. Only God can prevent me from being promoted, and only God can promote me. That applies to any human being. What you have is the Almighty Allah who has given it to you. What you don't have is the Almighty Allah who has not given it to you. Nothing else.
Sir, I know you have seen the worst of everything in the armed forces. In fact, but is that the reason why you are also giving them the best now?
No, you see?
I mean, it's not a question of only motivation. It's basically more than that.
Now, if you see, if you understand the value of human life, and here's a human being who is saying, when the rest of the country is sleeping, I'm going out of the border to make sure that the country is safe. I'm going into the bush to make sure that the country is safe. They're putting their lives on the line. Nobody can pay a soldier. Nobody can pay a service guy. Even the police, you cannot pay them.
It has changed from an institution that was once seen as a safe haven for illiterates to one made up of generals of the highest caliber.
If I have to use my salary to help people, it's not practically possible. So what we produce here and all the farms is what we use, and plus what I get from my friends. So yes, it's the president's farm, but the benefit goes to people, not me. So it is our farm, okay? I want to really thank you for coming to help.
The armed forces' participation in humanitarian services has deepened in recent years. This goes to complement the outstanding achievements registered in the area of security and the numerous peace missions they have undertaken around the world.
Remember, when it is hot, when bullets are flying, it is the army that takes it out in order for the country to be free. So, in times of peace, the army should still serve the people. And that is whatever they can do, because they are also part of the people.
The president also finds satisfaction for having changed the dynamics in the agricultural sector. The perception then was inimical to the national and household food security being pursued by the government of President Jammeh. When you really made the call earlier in 1994, how long did you think at that time that it was going to take you for this to sink well with Gambians?
I'm really grateful to the food crisis, because I don't think people have still taken it seriously if they want the food crisis in 2008. The food crisis, the financial crisis, then the food crisis, that made people realize that, oh yes, it's not a question of sitting down, each is for himself.
Such accomplishments are hard to come by and require strong leadership to sustain over the course of time. Abdinjai, GRTS.
The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs Wednesday morning presided over a meeting of sectors under her purview at the Nana Conference Hall. The meeting sought to review and assess progress made by the respective sectors towards the mainstreaming of the Program for Accelerated Growth and Employment page. The interface, as Mamoudou Jallo reports, also identified key strategies to be pursued to fast-track the attainment of set goals and targets.
President's Office brings together officials from the National Population Secretariat, the National Disaster Management Agency, Women's Bureau and the National Nutrition Agency to discuss key policy issues, review and assess progress made in mainstreaming the Program for Accelerated Growth and Employment page into their programs and activities.
When we come as sectors, the idea is to know whether or not they have been sufficiently mainstreamed, to determine whether or not the mainstreaming is adequate enough to ensure that we effectively contribute to growth and employment.
The meeting comes nearly 4 months after the Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, toured the country to, among other things, see for herself the progress made and the challenges abound. This meeting therefore provides the perfect opportunity for the various sectors to present their work plans, outline activities, and highlight challenges.
Among those, we look at the activities, we look at the funding gaps, and we look at our activities vis-a-vis the government's development blueprints. For example, in the Gambia, we talk about Vision 2020, the MDGs, and PRSP2, and now PAGE. Come 2012, we have the Program for Accelerated Growth and Employment as a development blueprint.
For the participants, such meetings provide the platform to brainstorm and devise strategies of meeting set targets and expectations. This, the Vice President believes, is imperative on the various sectors under her.
There are some things that should be addressed at the level of the sectors themselves. There are things that should be addressed at decentralized level. There are some things that we need to address in consultation with our development partners, or indeed in consultation with other government sectors. So each and every one of us have a duty and a responsibility.
The Program for Accelerated Growth and Employment is a policy document that would succeed the PRSP2 and has among its priority list employment creation for sustainable growth and poverty reduction. The Vice President is convinced that for any development to take place, jobs must be created and priority be given to Gambians.
So we look at those sectors and see what efforts are they doing to employ Gambians as opposed to employing non-Gambians. We are not saying you don't have to employ non-Gambians. If a non-Gambian comes into the Gambia, settles, and is the owner manager of a business, we understand. There are some that are family businesses. But despite that, there must be a quota for Gambian employment, because there are a lot of our young people are looking for jobs. So I don't see any reason why a company should be based in the Gambia and you say, I don't have, for example, an accounts clerk. When we are churning out accounts clerk at MDI and at the University of the Gambia, and there are a lot of other universities abroad that have affiliates here.
The next meeting of these sectors will be in December, when they would have completed the outstanding tasks identified in this meeting and come up with the relevant strategies for action and implementation. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS.
Gambia law enforcement officers and their counterparts from some West African countries are deliberating on the continent's security and infrastructure challenges. The 8th annual awards and lectures organized by Security Watch Africa was formally declared open by the Minister of the Interior, Usman Sonko. Francis Mendy reports.
The event is held annually to recognize the efforts of national security agencies, outstanding security operatives and law enforcement officers in the maintenance of peace and security in their respective countries and Africa at large. The Chief Executive Officer and International Coordinator, Security Watch Africa, Patrick Agambo, spoke on the peace that prevails in the Gambia, a quality that perhaps encourages organization to hold the 8th edition of its awards and lectures in the Gambia. The Minister of the Interior, Usman Sonko, who delivered the keynote address on behalf of President Jammeh, harped on the timeliness of the theme, adding, the government of the Gambia places a lot of premium on security and infrastructural development.
Crimes today are taking transnational and intercontinental dimension. Illicit drug trafficking is on the increase, and the movement of small arms is also a cause for concern. Therefore, every part of the world must expend all efforts to forestall security threats. It is thus gratifying to learn that the lecture series are aimed at identifying security problems affecting the African continent and its people and offer solutions to this effect.
Sonko welcomed the decision to stage the event in the Gambia.
Furthermore, Africa should develop its own strategies and means to bring about peace and security based on its realities. For us in the Gambia, we pride ourselves as Africa's most stable and peaceful country.
These security operatives and private sector partners whose work have a bearing on the entrenchment of security on the continent that has had more than its fair share of insecurity and lags behind most parts of the world in terms of infrastructural development, will during the two-day event deliberate on the thought-provoking question, can Africa get its security and infrastructure right? A theme Ghana's former Vice President, Alaji Aliu Muhammad posits, provides what he called an interesting opportunity to stimulate reflection at a time when the African continent continues to confront and deal with major security challenges.
It is worthy to note that since the establishment of the African Union in the year 2002, the development of Africa peace and security infrastructure, the continent has been undergoing a paradigm shift from state-centric functionality of security to the broader understanding and application of human security with the focus on human life and dignity. This paradigm shift resonates well